Hi, everybody. This is Sheila and Amy's team call, our first one for this third week of our Healthy Holiday Challenge. And we have a really fun habit to talk about today. It's about the importance of support and why, when you work on things with a team or with a coach or with a friend or with somebody that lives with you, having a bubble of a layer of support around you, why that will help you to be successful much longer or forever if you have that layer of support. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So since you're going to have to go, maybe, Amy, do you mind talking first and just telling us how your week went and what support has meant for you in your health journey?
Sure. Week's going pretty good so far. I found a donut in the house and I just threw it in the garbage, even though I wanted to eat it. That was hard to do, but it kind of came down to like the long-term choices. It's like, it'll be delicious for a minute, but.
So how did a donut just happen to be in your house?
Kids over the weekend. I had nieces and nephews, and they did the Santa run.
Uh-huh.
We do treats after they do 5Ks because I think that's
Sure.
They earn it, anyhow. So, but so one of them didn't eat their donut, and I found it, and I was like, it's just got to go straight to the garbage.
Yeah, it was probably dried out, but not so dried out that 12 seconds in the microwave.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah.
We know the trick.
Yeah.
Dunk it in a little milk, and it'd be just fine. But I just knew I was like, well, I hate wasting food. I was like, I could give it to somebody, or I could wait. And I was like, no, it sits in the house. I'll have that report that comes in that's stressful, and I'll just eat it because it'll be there. So,
So you haven't been on the call before with Lynne and Beth, so they don't know you really well. Can you tell them a little bit about you and your health journey and what this? Yeah.
I did one of these January of last year. Charity Kai's posted it, and so I jumped in. I put on some weight through the holidays, and I have a thyroid problem and stuff, so I needed a little something to get that off. And speaking of support, I find one of the things that I struggle with. I'm a crazy runner. I do long distance, so I run a ton. But you can now eat your running, unfortunately. But so I like to exercise, and I generally do most of the time. But but to lose some weight, like just having that accountability and kind of support is really, and to keep me motivated, is the area that I find kind of some weakness. I do the emotional eating and stuff like that, and so having a support group definitely helps me deal with that in a better way. So that's So I've done. God, I think this is my sixth one this year. Wow. So, but been able to maintain the loss from the beginning of the year, pretty much the whole year. So
good. And I know one of the things she trained for and did. Will you tell them about your run through Bryce Canyon and what you did?
Yeah, this year. So that's one of my motivating things. Is I need to drop some weight. I did my first 50K race. It was my first ultra marathon.
Wow. So 50K is, how many miles is that?
31.
Okay.
So,
and it's through Bryce Canyon.
That's so cool.
It was through Bryce Canyon, right? Up and down the trails.
Yeah, so it's the Bryce National Park is on the east side of the plateau. And so this run was on the west side, but it looks just like Bryce. Gorgeous. Oh my gosh. So we start up through these aspen tree groves and then end up going through the hoodoos and across these petrified sands.
Amy, you're kind of cutting in and out. Are you are you moving or standing still?
Yeah, I'm moving around.
Amy likes to jog while she's on the phone.
Yeah, I can't stand still.
Are you running
I'll try and
right now?
I'll find a corner to stay in. Anyhow, yeah, it was amazing, and I got so excited, but I signed up for another one this March. That is Monument Valley. I posted a link today on the wall of a video that they took from the race last year, and it's just stunning views. So,
I bet.
yeah, I love the outdoors and nature and running. So,
and she likes traveling. Tell us all the places you traveled in the last 2 months.
Yeah, I went to Vietnam, Cambodia, and South Korea. So I got it. If you look up the Angkor Wat, Google that, and it's amazing in Cambodia. And then we did a cruise in Halong Bay, just on the coast of Vietnam. It was amazing. It's pretty much amazing.
Yeah.
That's on my vision board too. I should share my vision board with this group. But one of the things on my vision board is that, like, I want to stay healthy because that's how you get to travel to, you know, there's just places I've been to that, like, you know, you have to hike up a hill or, you know, just getting around that you just can't get on anything motorized. So you have to be healthy to get through some of these things. So.
Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for saying why support is important to you. And so, Beth, tell me how it's gone for you being part of the group, and if that support has been an important part for you, and how you've done this week.
Yeah, support's been what it's all about for me. I wouldn't have even had any place to focus. My life's been so crazy. We've had family here. In fact, my son's plane is leaving just in a few minutes, and that's the last of our company finally leaving. And yeah, when my family gets together, it's chaotic and fun and crazy. But as I was, you know, preparing food, working on food, eating food, whatever, planning food, I thought I had a focus. You know, it wasn't like I got to hurry on to the next event. It was like, I get to be mindful about this because I'm going to report on it. And I like what people have been writing on the chat wall, and I like the comments. You know, it's an ultimate game, as far as, you know, like those games they have on TV, the game shows where people run and do this and try to find that. And it's like, to me, it's like, but it's real people, and we have a real motive that's blessing our lives and, you know, helping us. I got up and did some exercising early that I normally wouldn't have done because I wanted to log it. You know, so.
Accountability increases performance, doesn't it? Yeah.
It sure does for me. That's like the main key.
Yeah. What we'll do for a high score, a grade, or whatever. Yeah. So, speaking of competitive grades, Lynne.
Yes, Sheila.
Lynne and I share that competitive A mentality, but I know you do too, Beth. So.
Yes, and how are you doing, Sheila, with that?
Oh, I did the craziest thing, and I don't even want to admit it out loud, but I had a paper that was due, and I had so many things. I was kind of sick last week. I had a cold, and when I was at my class on Tuesday, she talked about this paper being due, and in my mind, I just thought she said it was the next Tuesday. So Monday night, I started working on it, and I had done all the interviews I needed. It's that thing about aging and music, and anyway, it took me till really early hours of the morning. I don't even want to tell you how early. So when I went to submit it, the way you submit homework assignments now is via Canvas. It's an online way that you submit your reports and things. So I go to submit it, and there's no link to submit button. And I'm like, did I miss the deadline? Was it midnight? I thought it's at noon the next day. And I'm thinking, hey, I'm ahead of schedule because it's not noon when I'm submitting it. I'm submitting some hours earlier. Anyway, and I can't find it. So I go back to the syllabus and the assignments, and I find that paper wasn't due till December 14th. And it's the final paper of the whole thing. It's like the final. And I did it. I'm finished with it 2 weeks early, which is a good feeling. But
yes, that's
still,
great.
but, you know, I just that kind of happens sometimes when we're sick and we hear things wrong, and I didn't.
There was no mistake. You're not going to have time to do it when the day comes up. You're going to say check mark. That's done.
Well, my son leaves 2 days later for his mission.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
it's concert week that week, so
Yeah.
there was a reason. But I made up for it and slept 9 hours last night, so we're good. Anyway, but support is really an effective thing for me too. So Lynne, tell me how the week's gone for you, and how support works for you with your health and with other aspects of your life, maybe.
I think between doing the challenge through the holidays, it has really helped to keep me focused in an easier way. I was super motivated anyway, so I probably would have stayed on plan, but the ideas and the people's comments I love.
Me too.
But the support from my kids has been really super helpful too. So through the holidays, they were really supportive of me not eating things and making myself a little tiny tart pie of my own and that kind of stuff. The thing that throws me off is when they come to stay, I flip into my old pattern of taking care of everybody and just forget. The time kept passing by and I'd be like, whoa, I don't feel good. I'm like, oh, that's right, I ate about 4 or 5 hours ago. And I learned that you can't get away with losing weight and feel good, even though I was eating the right amount of calories, that keeping that consistent small meals in your body regularly makes a huge difference. So I actually was up a couple pounds by the end of the weekend, even though I was so careful eating.
You just weren't eating small meals throughout the day.
Yeah, I just was missing some food and not drinking my water. Just busy not drinking my water.
If one of the habits slips, it usually does it you can still maintain, but if 2 or 3 of the habits, there's 7 of the habits that I think are kind of core habits, or 8. And yeah, you get 2 or 3 of those out of sync, you feel a difference.
Yeah, and staying up late at night is another one that I was doing. So after being back on track for a couple days, then I've lost that amount of weight I was up plus a pound. So
good. So it came
right
back
around. It's fine. But
so Lynne, will you share with people what your profession was, the years that you were working, and maybe from that area of expertise, how support helped people to change?
My area I was a social worker, counselor. So I got my master's in social work plus some extra licensing so I could do private counseling. And if you look at the whole system of people's lives, not just themselves, then you see the big picture of why they're not doing so well. And it all has to do with support, whether it's friends, family, anything at all. So I definitely am a believer in support. As well as huge believer in taking care of yourself, with all the not so great at it, but a believer in it. I'm good in self-care in some ways, but I kind of haven't been so great at exercise and eating over the years. But I know it works.
Yep.
So I think that's why this program really rang true with me, because it was about support and that big picture of everything working together, not just eating or just exercise.
That's good. Well, thank you. I know that you probably, with helping people, that, it does take a village. It does take that kind of arms around each other, linking arms idea it really gives you strength. And I think when people try to do it alone, then it's difficult. I went on a hike one time, and I was hiking with a group, and a friend of mine, Pam, was hiking behind me, and I was kind of struggling a little bit, and she just touched the small of my back, just ever so gently. She didn't push in any way. She just touched. And she said, now let's just see. It was such an interesting thing just to have that touch on the back. All of a sudden, I felt this energy from her, and I had this energy to keep going and make it to the top without having to stop and turn around. And I thought, what an interesting thing. So when we hiked later as a family, and I had one of my kids, just that ever so slight touch, just an interesting thing. It doesn't take a lot. We don't have to push people, but just a touch. And so I think that's what's great about this habit of health this week of support, is that none of us, I think, want somebody to force us or push us, but just that ever so gentle touch to help remind us and help us stay on the path. And
well, it was always interesting in counseling, especially with teenagers, if teenagers didn't show up for their counseling appointment, which happened frequently, the parents would be so frustrated, and I'd try to get the parents to just come in and talk and fill up that space instead of just losing the money. Mm-hmm. Because if I could give the parents a little bit of help so they could be a better support system for the teenager, it just was bigger than that child coming in themselves. So much bigger.
Oh, that's really good.
Turn things around.
Okay. So, Tom, we're talking about support. We're talking about how our week went and how support helps us in our journey of health. So have you seen anything helpful to you this week about support, or how are you doing?
I'd like to say I was doing better, but I am doing better this week. I failed last week, but
no failing.
Yeah, that's a taboo word.
Well, that's not 4 letters, though. No.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes you have to take one step back to go forward.
Well, when I went through the scouting program Wood Badge this last summer, and I kept asking them, well, how do I ever incorporate any of this stuff that we're learning? Because there was just so much they crammed into your head in just a few short days. And they said, well, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Right.
So that's really what I do. What I'm having to do is just take it one step at a time, one day at a time, one drink, one bite, one calorie choice, one whatever, and then try not to think negatively about it. Mm-hmm. If I decide I've got to have that candy bar because I just ate so much salt, I need a little bit of sweet, then I just figure out I'm just going to have to cut back somewhere else.
So, Tom, I put something on the wall to you this week, and I don't know if you saw it, about deciding your why. Did you see something I wrote to you?
I haven't looked specifically for anything.
Go back and look at some of your own comments and then see what I wrote to you.
Okay.
I felt inspired, the thing that I wrote to you. So I want you to go back and read it, okay?
I will definitely. I definitely will.
And I'll just kind of allude to it, but it was something about deciding that you love yourself enough to be there, and that you love your family enough of why you're really doing this. It's not about running the marathon. You want to be healthier longer than just the marathon.
Yeah. But I think you hit it on the head with the love part, though, because if you really can't like yourself, because I struggle with this a little bit, and I always have, especially when I was much younger, and I still just a little bit now, is if I don't like myself, how can anybody else like me, you know? And so if I like the way I feel, or the way I'm feeling, or how my size, or where my bulges are, or whatever, then how can anybody else like me? So I'm feeling better now that I see a few things changing. So, but I've been down this path before. I've lost a bunch and felt really, really good. And then for some reason, and this is very cyclical for me,
right,
I'll do really, really well, and I'll feel really, really good. And then for some reason I just get lazy or whatever and fall right off the wagon. And then I got to figure out how to get myself back on.
And I'm thinking part of it is because your goal before was to make it to the marathon. And so once you got there, you'd reached your goal.
Well, and I was injured too. So.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to have you look beyond the marathon and just see. So you said last week was a fail. Tell me something you learned from last week. What did you learn that you can't do?
You can't let your guard down. Family was in town, and I knew there were going to be meals. I just have a problem with eating.
Mm-hmm.
And I love food.
So, do you notice people that really don't have an issue with weight seem to eat anything they want, and why is that? Why is it that the people that, I don't know if it's because of the emotional tie, and maybe people that haven't had an issue with weight don't have that emotional tie because they've never really had to watch it. They've never been deprived. I'm not really sure. But I've noticed that people that seem to be healthy, Amy would be one of them, and she's on the phone, that it seems like 90% of the decisions they make are healthy, and about 10% of the ones they'll have treats. But when we're only being healthy 10% of the time, then we can see what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
So if you had an issue last week and you learned for you that maybe you're better to be 100%er, but sometimes even when we did, would you say you did better this last week than you did Thanksgiving 2 or 3 years ago?
I think I ate less on Thanksgiving Day because I was in this competition.
Okay. So there's something you did better.
So I ate one plate of food. It may have been more. Well, and then when it came to pie, I mean, I'm a pumpkin pie freak, so I probably ate a little more than I should have with whipped cream.
But did you eat less than you would have without any thought? If you hadn't been thinking I'm doing this, would you have eaten more than you did?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So you succeeded. See, to me, I think sometimes we think we're comparing ourselves against what perfection is. And perfectionism is really not a healthy mindset.
Oh,
we're always thinking that we're not good enough. But if you look back and say, I did so much better than I did any Thanksgiving I've had in my adult life. I mean, I really was conscious of, I made healthier choices than I've made. Then don't think about it as a fail. You did better than you've done for years. So you need to feel really good about it. Because what we tell ourselves, if we beat ourselves up emotionally, then that's worse for you than the pumpkin pie was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's so much easier for me. I had so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then back to work again on Monday. Holidays and weekends are going to be my biggest struggle. Mm-hmm. I'm at work, and I know I'm trying to count my calories and whatnot. That's easy because I can have a simple breakfast and I can have a simple lunch and feel good. But on weekends, when you're just wandering around the house, it's hard to, have that. You don't have that 200 calorie can of soup for lunch. Yeah. Everybody in the family's having a grilled cheese sandwich and a big old pile of chips,
Yeah.
So it's harder for me on weekends. That's going to be my biggest struggle, and always is, at home on weekends and holidays.
So in talking about support, would your family be willing to look at their health while you're looking at yours? Would they be willing to do that for Dad?
Not going to happen.
You might ask them.
I've tried.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's pretty difficult to do it alone if you're in an environment filled with unhealthy things. It can be done. I've watched people do it, but it's easier if the whole family works on things together. So you might want to have a cupboard that has, the unhealthy food that you never have to look at it or open it. I don't know. But it's time for us to go. I don't want to keep you any longer. Yes, Amy, go ahead.
I know Tom's kids. Good luck, Tom.
And you know there's no way they'd give up the chips for Dad, huh?
Oh, no, it's not going to happen. They're pretty picky eaters. That's one of the few things they eat. Right, Tom?
Okay. Well, Amy, you're going to have to be
I'm going to have to be extra supportive.
Okay.
On the weekends.
Well,
Maybe I'll have to text you midday and see how it's going or something.
Yeah,
Put the chips down.
that would be a good thing for Amy to maybe you guys to text each other over the weekend to just kind of be that additional support besides
a little extra accountability.
Yeah.
So
get out and go for a walk. That's what it's probably what I need more is get out and work it off.
Well,
yeah.
That diversion, you know, those 2-year-olds when they want something that they can't have, so you give them something in their hand instead. It's the same technique for us. When we see something, we have to divert our attention to something else. And when you take a drink of water, or you go brush your teeth, or you go walk around the block, then that urge goes away.
Oh, it's too cold to go outside right now.
No, it's not.
I'm with you.
Well, I've kept all of you long enough. Thank you so much for getting on. And it's I feel really good about this week and this team and this habit of health of support. And let's just really try to focus on positive and look at the things we can do to be assistants to each other, okay?
Yes.
Hey.
All right. Everybody get your fist here. We're going to give each other a fist pound. Ready?
Bam.
And break. Okay.
Not too good.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Sheila.